player pathway information webinar for parents. It's to give parents a better understanding of how the BUCS Cricket Player Pathway works, and what we feel as a team delivering it that will best enable the players who are part of it to be the best players they can be. So I'm Rich Hudson, Chief Executive of BUCS Cricket, and I'm joined today by Jason Harrison, who's our Head of Performance, and James Savory, who is the Player Pathway Manager. And we'll just give a little bit of background into ourselves in case you've never seen us before or met us, and then we'll get into the information. So I've been with BUCS Cricket for over a decade. Previously was Pathway Manager, and now done over 5 years in the lead officer role. And as an organisation, we have our county teams, we have our player pathway, but we also do a lot of work supporting clubs, delivering coaching in schools and in community settings, and taking the game to people that wouldn't otherwise have access to it. So we've got a really broad remit, and we're really fortunate to have Jason and James to really focus on the development of players and teams for BUCS. So I'll hand over to Jason to introduce himself.
Yeah, hi there, I'm Jason Harrison. I've been involved with BUCS since an age of 15, which is a long time ago, as a young player through what was the pathway then, into the professional game, out again, and then rejoined BUCS, still playing, but then transforming into the coaching and into a director of cricket role, which I held for 8 years at the county club, which is the first team. Then with us joining together, I've come on board as head of performance, which incorporates the first team, second team, women's first team, and the 18s on the boys as well.
Great, and over to James.
Yeah, I'm James Savory, Player Pathway Manager. I've been with BUCS for nearly 7 years now, and have done various roles in that time, including schools cricket manager, under 11s to under 13s pathway manager, and then taking over the player pathway management role as a whole in September.
Brilliant. We'll push on through the information. Obviously, you've got it for reading, so we're not going to read it to you line by line, but we wanted to pick out some of the key headlines that hopefully be useful for you and your children as they play through the pathway. So firstly, just to go on to the structure of the pathway. So it's about knowing where the player is going to end up is really important for us. So yes, it's nice if they have a great week on a Sunday and they score runs or take wickets, but it's about actually how the players transition through the different levels and go on and be the best player they can be at the highest possible level. So on the right hand side here is club cricket, alongside school cricket. Club cricket will hopefully be their bread and butter of all players throughout their cricketing journey. And then the other bit that's in the greyed out area there is about the MCC Foundation Hub. So having an opportunity for players who drop out of the pathway or aren't selected, who go to state schools, that they still get performance coaching. But really then what we do is all the bits in green. So it's the pathway squads. And then for those better players, generally when they're about under 14 upwards, picking out those high performing and high potential players onto either the midweek training program or the emerging players program, and then from there the very best of the emerging players program will progress onto BUCS men's first and second 11s, but also into professional academies. So Northants are our partnership academy on the men's side, BUCS women and Southern Vipers. And in addition to the kind of that, I guess that's the core offer of training and match play, we have state school hubs to try and provide some extra cricket for the boys in the pathway or at state schools, and we have the skill zones, which is for, again, extra coaching to really just support our players who want to tap into more cricket through the winter, should they kind of have the time and the desire. So now pushing on to the next slide, I'm going to hand over to Jay just to talk through that top level for us and how that works.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Yeah, the top level is really still incorporated in the pathway. Number of players we want to get into these top levels as quick as we can. The BUCS men's first team says it on the tin, really. The leading players within the county at the first team level play in the National Counties League. We won the county championship this year with a number of players that have come through the pathway and play within the county, which is fantastic. At second 11 level, it's a combination of club players playing in the area, some first team players who are at the team, and also pathway players, the leading pathway players that we think have a ceiling of going on, have the opportunity to go and show their skills in an adult performance level, which is great for them, testing themselves in those areas, hopefully to get to the levels where they need to. We have a partnership with Northants County Cricket Club throughout all levels, so it's fantastic that when players get on an emerging players programme within ourselves, the leading players have a chance to be seen by Northants, and ultimately the best players get signed on their academy and hopefully going through. We've got a number of players currently on that academy and a number of players who have actually gone through onto the county staff. On the women's side, it's the same. We've got a full fixture list run through the ECB, T20 and 50 over competition at the Bucks women's level. That's an area where we're really forcing forward, and it's an exciting period for the girls at the minute. Linked to that as well is we're linked to the Southern Vipers. So again, similar to the men's side, where the leading players have an opportunity to be seen by the Southern Vipers, get extra training and potentially get involved in their setup. So it's a fantastic sort of pinnacle of our pathway that the boys and the girls can lead to, and it's exciting to see what levels all the players can get to.
Brilliant, thanks, Jay. And I think just one thing to add to the on the men's side particularly is that because we're a national county, formerly minor counties, and there are first class counties, that parents and players can start to think that I need to be at a first class county. But actually what we found is that actually as a junior player, it's a big advantage to be at a national county because you get the benefit of almost both fixture programs. So in the picture there of the first team with the trophy, you've got Adi Sharma, 17-year-old on the academy at Northants. So he would have played Northants second team last year, but also Bucks first team. So his development is really benefiting for the fact he comes from Bucks. So yes, he's progressed onto the academy at Northants, but he keeps his ties to his home county and gets that best of both worlds. Likewise, there are other boys, some of the other players in that team who have either played professionally or they've been on pro academies. It's not worked out, and they've come back and they've playing a fantastic program for Bucks in T20, 50 over and 3 days. So it can feel like on the face of it, they're coming from national county is lesser, but actually it has got some huge advantages. I'm going to hand over now to James to talk through the player pathway and some of the detail a little bit more. James, obviously give me a shout if you want me to skip through any of the slides.
Thank you. Okay, so this slide just talks about our mission as Bucks Cricket and why we do what we do. So we love to see young players enjoying playing the game. We love to see them learning and challenging themselves to be the best cricketer they can be. Okay, we do this by offering opportunities to play and train together in a high challenge, high support environment, develop through competitive matches. Lots of coaches from different diverse backgrounds, a range of cricketing backgrounds and skill sets. And as Jason's talked about, we have the routes into the professional game. This next slide just shows a graphic of how each year works. And I think it's really important to stress at this point that every cycle of selection, so that will usually take place in August and September, is just for 1 year. I think sometimes the name pathway suggests that there's a definite starting point, and that goes on. If you get in at under 11s, you're going to go on to play for the first team. Obviously, that's not necessarily the way it works. We'll find that players will complete 1 full year, and then maybe for whatever reason their performance may plateau. Other players will develop more quickly, and they will get into the squad the next year. So there's different entry and exit points. But just diving into the annual cycle, so benchmarking, observation days take place in August and September. From that, numbers are reduced. Squads selected for winter training, which tends to be leading up to Christmas. In some squads, there will be selections, so under 12 boys, under 13 boys, where we have a regional programme. County squads are selected from those, and then other age groups may have a county and development squad split. Into the new year, we move into winter training phase 2, and then into matches in the summer. We've moved on a slot. So what does that competition? Sorry, that's fine. What does that competition phase look like? Again, it will vary from age group to age group, but as a whole, the under 11s to under 13s phase is kind of our player identification phase, I guess. And it's important at these age groups that everybody has a chance to play, and everybody has a chance to develop their game, develop different skills through those ages. So matchday programs are based on the squad size, which will allow as much as possible everybody to have an equal amount of games. Those games are based on a rotation rather than a selection. So again, everybody gets the chance to play as much as possible an equal amount of games. It's not based on performance. If you perform well one week, then you're going to play the next game, or if you don't play well, you're going to get dropped for the next game. That doesn't happen. In general, most of the matchday squads will be communicated at the start of the season based on players' availability. And on a match day, again, roles will change. We like to have a philosophy that if your strongest skill is batting, well, you get a range of opportunities to bat. So it might be opening the batting, it might be in the middle order, it might be finishing the game off lower down the order. So we feel that's the best way for players to develop their skills by playing in different roles. Obviously, at this age group, a lot of players will see themselves as all-rounders, and they will get the chance to bowl and bat, as well as field and keep wicket, but it may not be an equal spread of those. Okay, so what we want to do is try and ensure that players have as much success, or can have some success in their stronger skill, but then supported by opportunities on their other skills. For the 14s to 18s, match days consist of a mixture of friendlies, but also ECB competitions, which are at the age group shown. For these games, the matchday squads are more based on performance. So if somebody's performing well, they will more likely play more games. But what we do have is the friendly fixtures. We still have some development teams at those age groups, and it may be that if a player isn't getting enough success for their development in those older age groups, then they might play some more in the development. And again, match day roles will change slightly. It's ultimately down to how can players impact the game. Jason, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you've covered it all. Yeah, I think that's fine, completely fine.
I think whenever somebody's playing for Bucks, then absolutely we want players to play the game to win, but it just needs to be clear that it's not win at all costs. Okay, player development comes first, and sometimes, particularly in friendly matches, that might mean making the games slightly harder for ourselves by changing the roles, changing the orders, and because competitive matches, we believe are key to learning and development. Nobody really gains much from one-sided matches, so it's important that coaches are not judged on wins and losses, but their job is to help players and teams to develop.
Yeah, thanks, James. That was well put for me. Development is a huge part of the pathway. That's exactly what it's about, and we've talked at length about this. That ability to have an environment where development is important with winning as well. Obviously, we want both. That's the ideal scenario, and that's right away from the bottom of the pathway right through to the top. And we've collected a few words here. I won't read them all out, but there's some that we really want to. For you to look at and really think carefully of what that means for your child when they're in the pathway. You know, there's a couple there that spring to mind. To me, commitment is huge. If your child is in the pathway and they've been selected, that commitment needs to be made from both parties. That's how you get better as a cricketer and as a team as well. That full commitment in terms of training, always being the first there on match days, giving everything towards the team as well as yourself. All that sort of aspect is huge to run the pathway, both as a county and, as I said, as an individual. From a playing point of view, having clarity, being fearless are common words used, and they're common used because they're good words. To go and really be positive in the way you play. Whether you're a bowler, go and trust how you bowl. If you're a fast bowler, give it all. Same as a batter. If you're a stroke player, or you're a hard-hitting batsman, go and do that like you have done from your club or school teams to get into the position to get onto the pathway. I think that's so important to trust yourself. The coaches can help on that, talking and encouraging, but the player must always understand that the reason why they've got onto the pathway is because of their abilities. Another thing is respect. I think respecting your peers, respecting the organisation, respecting the game. The game is a brilliant game that we're all lucky to be involved with, whether that's a player right the way through up to Richard at the top end of Buckinghamshire cricket. And having that respect throughout the whole organisation is a huge thing. The game teaches you a lot of that, and you'll find that with your children throughout the pathway. It's a fantastic learner, and it's great for life as well as sport. But that's so have a read through those words and just see what come for you. Okay, Rich.
Now, just on the what are we looking for in players? If we run a trial day, we're often asked, well, what are you looking for? And it's quite a tricky question to answer because you're looking for a combination of things. So if you put any cricket team together, you want some hard-hitting players, you want some players who can bat long periods of time, you want some players who are going to be really consistent in terms of their movements. So it's tricky to say this is the player we want. I think each player should work out what type of player they want to be and then try and develop their skills to be that. I think just perhaps three things I'd perhaps point out is I think once they get to under 15 and older, what they do in adult league cricket on a Saturday has a huge impact in what we're looking for as coaches and as an organisation to drive selections. So getting really committed to their club league cricket is important to us. I think for fast bowlers, pace is massively important. If you look at the Australia team that won the one day international World Cup recently, all their pace bowlers bowl between 85 and 90 mile an hour. There's no one there between 70 and 75 mile an hour. So the quicker you bowl, then the higher the level you're going to go. And then finally on the far side there about athletic fielders. So who's going to be able to change the game with their catching, their diving, their stopping, not just their batting and the bowling, but who's going to impact the game when they're perhaps the other teams, maybe 100 for none, and it needs a bit of moment of magic from someone. So we've put some other comments on there that we look at for players, but I think each player needs to work out what type of player they want to be, and then perhaps compare themselves to some of their idols and look at the way they do it and try and bridge the gap using the input of coaches to support that. We do have a
Sorry, can I just jump in? Sorry about that.
Sure.
The athleticism, which you said in the batters, I think it's encompassing in the whole of the game now. I think through the pathway, certainly at the upper end, fitness and S&C training is huge. We really put a huge emphasis on that because you have aspirations of going to the highest level. Athleticism is huge now. It's a professional sport, and athletes are playing. So it's understanding that early. We don't expect everybody to be the best, the best runner or anything, but improving all the time on your athleticism, your fitness, all your movement work will help. All those four aspects there will help them.
Brilliant. James, anything else you want to add around what you're looking for in players, or we can move it on?
No, I think you've summed it up nicely, and some of it will perhaps come out in the next slide. So, okay, so we often get asked for feedback on how children are developing, or sometimes if they're not selected in a squad and have been previously, what can they work on away from their contact time with us to get better? So this slide really just kind of shows that actually, again, it's a combination of things. I think sometimes it feels like people are looking for a technical answer, something to fix that's just going to flip a switch, and that player, that child will suddenly become a better cricketer, and it doesn't really work like that. That will come over time. A lot of the stuff that we will work on over the winter will be technical, but again, it's important that parents understand that there's no one size fits all model for technique. We as coaches are looking to enhance what players do well naturally. You only have to look at, again, the international game to see there are lots of players that do things in quite an unconventional way, but it works for them. There are technical points that all of them will do. So in terms of technique, as much as possible, allow the players to take ownership. Okay, away from sessions, feed them balls, hit catches, take videos so they can review what they're doing. As much as possible, let them work it out for themselves, because they will have lots of input from different sources. So they'll have their club coaches, they might have school teachers and coaches, pathway coaches, and there's a lot of information there for them to take on board and then try to filter out and fit together to build their individual technique. Okay, but that's just one of 5 performance areas where players can improve. As Jason's already mentioned, one area that players can improve is physically. Over the winter, they might not get as much a chance to play cricket, but actually there are lots of things that they can do to build up their fitness, whether it's core strength or lots of different physical aspects that can be done in a relatively small space with limited time. So consistency is key, getting into good habits, and obviously, where possible, developing through a range of different sports. It's very obvious that some of the players that come to us that are that do move better and have those physical attributes pick up the technical tend to pick up the technical skills more easily. Okay. We can help our children develop mentally, so we can help them build resilience. It's not about always being successful. The best players to develop, they need a mixture of success and failure. So embrace setbacks. They're one of the most important learning experiences. Okay, doesn't make them bad players, doesn't make them bad people, doesn't make you bad parents, doesn't make us bad coaches. Players will experience success and failure, so it's important to, as much as possible, keep them on a level playing. We can praise the effort over outcomes and results. Different players will play cricket at lots of different levels. Some levels they'll be more successful. In general, most players will find pathway cricket more difficult, more challenging than club cricket or school cricket, and they may not get the same results. But that again doesn't make them bad players. It's part of the process. Another area you can develop is tactically. This is probably more one for in the season, but through playing games, through getting it wrong in games, through getting it right in games, but as much as possible, try and ask the players, ask them questions. Why did somebody do this? Why did a player do that? What would you do if you were in that situation again? What might you do differently? Trying to get players to self-reflect rather than telling them what you think they should do. Okay, and the final one is lifestyle. Again, like the mental side, this is an area as parents you have a massive influence, more than we do. So making sure players have a good diet, hydrated, particularly on match days, get plenty of sleep. Players that get less than 8 hours sleep a night are more prone to injuries, for example. And again, they have a balance of activities. It's not cricket. There's other sports, other activities, music, and obviously balancing with school and studies. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think for me, if we go back on that slide, Rich, thanks. The word develop in that heading is what it's all about. That's the important word, and those 5 sections there, you can build your child towards elite in those sections. They may not be there at the minute, or they may well be, but either way, developing your child throughout the pathway to become the best cricketer and the best person they can be. And that little graph there is a great help and a great tool to see that in front of you, rather than in a normal text you'll see. That's why we want to do this video, to show it and show you and just give a bit of description of where we see your child's development through the pathway.
Absolutely. If one of those cogs becomes stuck, or the whole development process becomes stuck. Again, parents have a massive part to play on match days. So what can you do to give your child the best chance of success? Arrive on time. That would be first thing, and ideally ahead of time. How we play is often there's a direct kind of correlation between how we prepare and how we play. Okay, so that getting there on time, being prepared mentally, warm-ups to prepare physically, the team talks to discuss the tactics. Okay, that's a really key period of the day. Try and make sure that that all players have got everything they need for the day, and they don't need to come to you for those things. If you're spectating, try and give the players, the coaches, as much room as possible. Set yourself up away from the teams. Sit back and just enjoy the game. Enjoy watching your children do what they love doing, which hopefully is playing cricket. Support and encourage all players, all aspects of. If you see good cricket, whether it's Bucks or the opposition, encourage that. And if you can encourage players to sit together as a team, particularly when they're batting, again, it's a really vital time for both building team spirit, but also being able to learn, being able to watch what's going on, and tactically work out what are your players doing in the middle, what are the opposition doing, what are they trying to do, how can you anticipate what they're going to do tactically and use that to help you play, help influence the way you're going to play and to play in each different situation. Please make sure that you adhere to the Bucks Code of Conduct, which will be sent out to you. And after the game, again, win, lose, good day, bad day, there's always something to learn. There's always something within that day that will have been enjoyable. Some people, they just the fun, the enjoyment comes through the challenge, and even if they haven't won that challenge, just through the challenge, they've enjoyed it, and they will certainly learn something from it. Anyone want to add to that?
No, perfect, James.
Where I want to get to as a coach on match days is being a fan. So, on a match day as a parent, just turn up, enjoy, and be a fan, and encourage everybody that's there.
This slide details the all the coaches that are involved through the pathway, and there are more that come in at different times. But we won't talk about this too much now because we'll send it out on the slides, and you'll have it for reference, and any updates we'll send through. So just try and share my screen, which I may have done, and we'll just try and wrap up now, but also just opportunity, James, Jason, if there's anything else that comes to mind. But I think just the message from us is we want to see your children be the best cricketer they can be, and have cricket add real value to their childhood. We want to see a number of our players go on and play the game professionally. It's not going to be a huge amount, but there will be some. I think there's currently 6 professional cricketers in the men's game from Bucks, and 3 in the women's game, and we've got 3 more players on the Northants Academy, and there are a couple more players that have just come off a professional contract or an academy contract in the men's game. So we've seen lots of players come through, and we know what it takes for those players to get there, but that each of their journeys is different, and each of the ways that works for them is different. And we just really encourage parents and players to perhaps not think too far ahead. Just break it down. What's the next session? What's my next game? How do I get the most out of that? And make sure that you're continually enjoying it and just keep trying to get better. And if you keep enjoying it and keep getting better, you'll go where your talent, your child's talent will take them. Sometimes we think too far ahead and we try and become an England cricketer today, we will end up falling out of love with the game tomorrow. So we've got to be really careful with that, because we want people to keep playing the game for as long as possible, and hopefully at the end of it they'll be having a great experience. So that's just final thoughts from me. I don't know if Jace or James got anything further you want to add before we close?
Yeah, I've got just one thing, just to underline what Richard said there. The word fun, when you're progressing in a performance environment, people forget that word fun. Just because it's a performance environment and we all want to do well and progress, always remember that word fun. There's no better time when the sun is shining and you're out on the field supporting your child in the game of cricket. It's a lot of fun. When you see smiles on faces, it's absolutely thing. And my experience in the game is the guys and girls who reach the top are the ones who enjoy the game. When it becomes difficult and they get too introverted, or they analyse too much. It's nice to analyse, but to analyse too much, then that can be difficult times. Always encourage your child to have fun, and both you as parents as well. Enjoy that journey.
Thanks, Jay. James, anything final?
Just thank you for watching this. Thank you for all your efforts. It doesn't go unnoticed. The amount of, obviously, the time and the sacrifices you put into your child's cricket. So thank you for that.
Great note to finish on. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.